That these guys are standing there saying,
Let me get to this next one. So Biden's illegal immigration surge triggered 30% rise in home prices, 20% in rents, and Fed paper fines. So this is the Fed paper that comes out with this report, and everyone's like, wait a minute, Biden thing with illegal immigration? Yep, this is what the Fed paper finds. So let me read it to you. A new Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas working paper concludes that the surge in illegal immigration between 2021 and 2024 increased employment while significantly boosting housing demand, contributing to higher home prices and rents. The authors emphasize the study is a preliminary draft for professional review and does not necessarily reflect the views of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas and the Federal Reserve System. Using immigration, court records, and government administrative data, the researchers found that a 1% increase on unauthorized workers relative to a local labor force corresponded with about 1% increase in employment, with no evidence that the immigration surge reduced average wages. The same increase, however, was associated with roughly a 2.2% increase in home prices, 1.4% increase in rents. Researchers found little evidence that the home building expanded enough to absorb the additional demand. The economists estimate that unauthorized immigrant workers accounted for about 30% of employment growth and roughly 30% of home prices growth and about 20% growth in rent in the average metropolitan area between 2021 and 2024. They stress test these figures apply to the average metro area studied and do not suggest immigration was the sole driver of a rising housing costs nationwide. The paper described 2021 through 2024 as an unprecedented boom in illegal immigration. Tom, your thoughts on the story?
So here it is. The paper comes out and says it. And now you can step away from the reasons because they said, oh, we're not saying that immigration was the sole cause of this. What they're trying to do there is run away from being accused of being a racist. Yeah. No, 7 million people came to the United States between 2021 and 2024, according to this paper. It then slowed sharply in mid-2024 as even Biden was bracing himself for what was about to happen in the election. And they were taking certain steps because they wanted to show that, no, it's not what Trump said. But from 21 to 24, federal paper, 7 million people. You know what those people needed? No. Those people needed a job, even a basic one. They also needed a place to live. And when now you have more people, more demand, and the supply hadn't moved, guess what happened to the price? It says 20% increase in rent growth, 30% increase in home price growth. There it is. The affordability crisis was caused by two things. One, 7 million people came to this nation into the metro areas, and the price of the housing went up, whether you're renting or buying. A. B. The asset price went up because Biden's inflation hit, and that was the double punch. So now everybody looks around and says, oh, we need socialism as the answer. We need this. We need that. This is why socialism looks attractive. This paper, Pat, shows once and for all that those two simple facts, 7 million people and Biden's inflation, absolutely decimated and have led to the affordability crisis is now. But you know what? You look at places like Austin. Austin started building in 2020. Why? Because companies said we're coming there. SpaceX putting headquarters there. Larry Ellison, Oracle putting headquarters there. Fleeing California, by the way. And so Austin started building and building and building. And do you know what happened this year in 2026, around 6 years later? Rents have gone down. Average rent, median rent, from 15, it was the number I saw, was 1547 down to 1325. And in certain areas in Austin where the building is, prices are down by as much as 20%, nominally around 17%. So you know what that means? That means it worked when capitalists said, hey, let's build more houses. I'm in the house building business. And they did it. And guess what? The supply of housing comes up and it comes down. Now, Austin still has a shortfall of about 15,000 houses. And when those are built, guess what? We're going to see how the mechanism works and that you can find affordability. You can find a place to live. This report, I think, is critical. And I'm standing by for the mainstream media to never mention it.
Adam.
Tom nailed it. Got to give a shout out to the BizDoc on that. Basically what he's talking about with this Biden perfect storm of stupidity with supply and demand, I'll just break it down. During COVID and during the open border policy season, thanks to you, Kamala Harris, our amazing borders are, we printed more money. That's the whole quantitative easing discussion that we've had. But then we have the open borders where this says 7 million people. We've heard 10, we've heard as much as 20, whatever it was. More people, okay, leads to more people needing homes and jobs. They got to live somewhere. They can't just live on the streets, Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, Mom Downey. They got to kind of clean it up. So when you don't have enough homes and you have all these people looking to live somewhere, what naturally happens? Supply and demand, and all of a sudden, the cost of living goes up, prices goes up, rent goes up. That's that rent hike. So to all the people out there that want to blame Trump for the cost of everything, especially the cost of your housing, take your singular focus, point to the Democratic Party and said, you did this, and thank for Trump at this point for getting us out of this mess, and blame Biden for putting us in this mess.
But Adam, they're not going to care because guess what? With the open border, they don't care. The left, the Democrats, they don't care that American girls were getting raped and murdered, and it's still kind of happening because of the freaking...
Well, respectfully, that's a different discussion. It is part of the border.
It is part of the
border.
Lead into this.
But we're talking about the prices.
No, Adam, but you know why? Because you cut me off like you normally do, and you let me finish my point, which I appreciate you for that.
Vincent,
all the way in Florida, you can still do it across the freaking country. But my point is, if you think Democrats are going to...
Adam, let him finish. Adam.
Oh my God, bro.
Seriously, you've been going for 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Oh my God, bro. Like what a train of thought loss. Thank you. If you think the Democrats are going to care about our children were getting raped and murdered, you think they're going to care about their wallets getting hurt by 30%? No. So even if right now, every time a Democrat brings up affordability, you show them this story, they're not going to care. You think they're going to care about this? They're not going to care. This isn't going to be on CNN. This isn't going to be on MSNBC. Okay? Because you know what the solution is? Mass deportation. Trump was trying to do a mass deportation, but the moment these idiots, they weaponized, they mobilized all their people, it all stopped. The only way you're going to have that number change is by deporting all those people. So, and this is the sad thing. Go on CNN, go on all the mainstream leftist news organizations today. You're not going to hear one of them talk about this. Not one. Because they don't care. Okay? Because it's going to show that Biden was a freaking moron and that Trump was right. Trump was right because that's what the open border does.
Let me get to the story. Okay. So then this leads to the story with Tim Walz. What is the story with Tim Walz and the 10-year-old?
Okay, so
that he pardoned and released.
And this story, like every other story that happens with the left, Pat, kind of got brushed off to the side. Tim Walz apparently isn't just friends with school shooters, Pat. He's actually really good friends with child rapists because Tim Walz and Minnesota sanctuary politicians, and mind you, this was